All right, Chris, 2024. This is going to feel real weird, but Chris, I don't know what this is going to look like, so we're going to just go for it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Brian, and this is Talk Hard Podcast. So today I really only have one question for you, and that is, do you want to crush 2024? Better yet, do you want to create everlasting change that carries on way beyond 2024? Well, if you answered yes, then today I'm going to walk you through my 3-step guide that I have learned over the years that will help you absolutely crush New Year's resolutions, future planning, everything you can imagine. If you implement these 3 steps and you do them properly, then you will go ahead and crush 2024. You will also crush basically any goal if you just follow this guide. And I know this to be true because I have been developing this over the past 5 years. And I know you're going to be like, oh, you developed what? Listen, I'm not the guru. I've just done the tried and true different methods of what works and what doesn't. And this is what I have noticed has worked. So before we get into that, if you would just take a moment, smash that subscribe button, hit that like button. It definitely helps our algorithm and will help us grow this channel, because ultimately at the end of the day, I'm just trying to provide valuable, free information for you so that you can carry this throughout the rest of your life. Okay, so I know that if you're ready, I am too, so let's get into this. I have spent the past 5 years experimenting with different processes in an effort to develop something that would just dramatically change the way that you approach, well, New Year's resolutions. Okay, so Happy New Year, it's 2024. Let's get into it. This is, for the most part, a very simple method. It's 3 steps. The first 2 might seem a bit redundant, but it's the third one. The third one you got to pay attention to, so just stick with me, okay? Step number 1, discovering your what. What is it that you want? What is it that you want to carry into 2024 and so on into 2025 and make an everlasting change? For me, New Year's resolutions really aren't like, I'm not trying to become a new me in 2024. I'm just improving the me I already was in 2024. If you're trying to create a whole new you, then that's great. Let's start here. Let's start from the basics. So I want to start off with my favorite quote, and that is, I always get to where I'm going by being willing to walk away from where I was. That one's Winnie the Pooh. Thank you very much, Winnie the Pooh. So in order to do this and to follow this first step and how to discover your what, I recommend taking 3 to 5 days and just reflect. The point of the reflection is to really look back on the past year, get out a journal, write these things down, okay? So when you go into this journaling method, Chris, let's cut this whole part out. I'm going to go back to, I always get to where I'm going by walking away from where I've been, okay? Sorry, bud, for the editing. So we're going to start this one off with one of my favorite quotes, and it's by Winnie the Pooh. I always get to where I'm going by walking away from where I was, okay? So the first part of this process, I highly recommend if you don't have a journal that is handy right now where you can just pause the video and kind of follow along, then I highly recommend you get yourself a dedicated journal, okay? Get yourself a journal that is dedicated to you writing down these 3 steps and the things that I am going to walk you through, okay? So the point of this, you'll realize later on, closer to step 3, but trust me, this all flows together and this all has a point. So for his first step, I want you to take 3 to 5 days and I want you to reflect. I want you to go ahead and look at your wins, look at your losses, look at the things you were good at, what worked well for you, what didn't work so well, what you think is room for improvement. But most of all, what or who are you willing to walk away from in order to get the life that you truly desire? And I know many of you may think that walking away from people is difficult and walking away from things is difficult. And personally, I believe that's the entire point. Everything around me in my life serves me in one way or another. I've talked about this in other podcasts. I'll touch base again on it this year. Selfishness is not a bad thing. I am extremely selfish, but I do that so I can keep myself full so that I can share my wisdom, my knowledge, my abilities, my talents, my everything with others. So I just keep myself full. Selfishness and greed are 2 totally different things. I am selfish. I am definitely not greedy. Okay. So get out a pen and paper and reflect on the last 3 to 5, take the last 3 to 5 days and really reflect on what's been working for you. In this, I highly recommend, sorry, I've got some notes up here that's kind of helping me follow along with this. So you have your dedicated journal. You're going to take 3 to 5 days. I also recommend that you go over this with somebody that you know, okay? I recommend that you get with somebody that is somebody you trust and somebody that can be very honest with you. I call them my asshole. Now, don't take that the wrong way. I think that everybody needs an asshole in their life. I am a lot of people's asshole because I just call it how it is. And it is not from an ill-intentioned place in my heart. It is just the truth. If you are not doing so well and you're trying to fluff yourself up, I'm not your guy. I'm not your cheerleader. I will support you, but I am not there to just blow smoke. I'm going to give it to you straight. If you're not catching on and you're asking for my advice, I'm going to give it to you in the truest form that I have, whether you like it or not. Because the truth will set you free. And I recommend you find somebody. My wife is that for me a lot of the times because I've created a space where I allow that to be okay. And I don't take it like personally as an attack. It's an invited space for me to get into with someone where I can just hear someone's outside perspective of how they're viewing the moves and the things that I am doing in my life. And what is it reflecting to me as a person? What do I look like when I'm behind closed doors? Because I don't care who you are in public. Don't pay attention to who I am so much on this camera. A lot of this is kind of fluffed up for the entertainment factor, and I like to talk with my hands and do weird things, but the core of me is just a genuine human being that loves humanity, that has been through hell and wants to be available to guide people to another path. So get your journal, take 3 to 5 days, write out your wins and what you would consider to be your losses, okay? So personally, I feel like don't focus on the losses. This is what I mean by walking away. Don't worry so much about your losses. There's a step for things later on that we will get into later this year where you can really embrace your suck and change some of those things if you want to. But for this right now, write down your wins, write down your losses, focus more on your wins. The majority of your losses are going to be from 1 to 2 things. Either A, you just suck at something, or B, you set the wrong time frame. Most losses are not driven by the appropriate emotion. And I will dive deeper into this a little bit later, so pay attention to the fact that I said that. So the failure is typically existing from you being driven by the idea of something and not the actual thing. You need to understand that. A lot of the times it's the journey more than it is the finish line, and we are so focused on the finish line that we completely bypass the journey. The journey is where the real growth happens. That's where the real gold is found. And if you want to find gold, you first got to move a bunch of dirt out of the way. Then you find your gold, okay? So when you're focusing on your wins, the biggest thing I want you to understand here is sit with your wins and understand the things. You're looking for a pattern here, okay? So as you're looking through your wins, how are they making you feel? We are trying to find a pattern here so that you can discover what it is that you truly want. What is it that you truly desire? If it's money, you're probably not going to do so well. I too am driven by money on some level, but that's because I'm generous and I have a lot of plans and I have a lot of things I need to do. I have a lot of people whose lives I want to help impact. That is why money drives me. So I do what I do with this podcast and with other platforms, and every time I come up in that little way, it goes out. When I am just crushing it, I go out to dinner, I match my bill with a tip. I typically don't stick around to wait for the thank you because that's not what it's about. I want that person who did a good job serving someone else to experience something that really created an emotion inside of them, because emotions are what really create everlasting change. That's why I want you to focus on your wins and focus on the feelings that you have. So in your wins column, write down your wins. Don't worry so much about your losses, except for when you scan over them, think about some of the things you might be able to walk away from. Let's focus on the wins, and right next to the wins, I want you to write down the feelings that you're having when you were reflecting on those wins. What can we do to create something from that, okay? So my real question to you today is, what do you genuinely want out of 2024? Let's look at the whole year, okay? What do you genuinely want? Once you have the clarity on what you want and what it is by looking through the data and looking for the patterns and realizing some of the things that you are good at and finding what you can be great at, now we're going to build a plan, okay? Step number 2. This is how we build your how. So first is what, and then we come into how. A goal without a plan is just a wish, okay? So I like to take my whole entire plan and I like to structure it, okay? My wife and I are getting ready to go on a trip. This is where we spend the weekend away from friends, family, everybody. We just get out, the phones go on silent, and we map out our year. What do we want? And then how are we going to get them done? And I mean, be vigilant. If you were to go into a bank with a business idea, the first thing they would ask for is a business plan. Why is this going to work? How is this going to work? What are you going to do? Structure this out for me. I need to see the plan in motion. If you are not treating your life in a very similar fashion, then don't be surprised when you are accelerating at a very slow pace. You get in what you give in. So give it your all. Be vigilant. If you look at my phone, I have it scheduled out on my phone, and yeah, sure, I make adjustments. That's not the point, but I know what's going on and when I need to get things done, all the way down to when am I going to post on YouTube? When am I going to post on TikTok? When am I going to focus on Instagram? How am I going to get there and what am I going to do? It is mapped out. Does that mean I have to stick exactly to the plan? No. That's how you learn to shift and pivot. This will also be a great growth motivator for you. So for me this year, I'll just share it with you guys. This year, I'd like to monetize the YouTube channel because I've got big things coming up. Okay, so my goal with this is to monetize this channel so that we can grow, so I can get out to some of the people like Ed Milet. Ed, if you end up running across this and you're watching this, please reach out to me. I just need to get in front of your channel. I want to have a good conversation with you. I genuinely love what you're doing, and I would love to sit down with you one day and really let's just dive deep into this whole entire thing that we call growth and mental health and motivation. And my goal is to change the world. So this is very uncomfortable for me. I really want you guys to understand that when I was actually writing out the script that on some levels I'm trying to follow in here, it makes me nervous. I hate public speaking, but I know that inside of me is a gift of greatness, a gift for humanity. I have impacted many, many people's lives and I want to continue to do that. So I have to face my fears. So I just map it out. We're trying something new. I'm scripting on a teleprompter, doing the whole nine. I've got my little controls. I'm doing what I can to improve this year and make this content greater. So for all of you that don't like it, leave a comment. I want to hear it. For all you that do like it, leave a comment. I still want to hear it. Read it, whatever you want to say. I want to know the truth. I want to know where I can improve. From a stranger to my wife to a lot of other situations, I am always open to the criticism because I don't take it personally. That doesn't mean that to my core I'm a bad person. It means there are things that I can work on that will continue to grow my greatness. And at the end of the day, that's all I'm trying to do. You're getting the point. I highly recommend two things. This is part of step 2. A, map things out on your phone. It's convenient. It's in your hand. It might take a little bit of time, but if you just dig in, you don't have to do it all at once. Do it a month at a time. Just dig in. Spend an hour and a half, 2 hours, map it out. I also like to get an actual physical calendar, okay? I put it up in the fridge right where I pass before I go in the garage, to start my car and get my day going. I pass right by this calendar. We all know that where you place your focus is where you place your energy. So I get a daily reminder. It's kind of like my calendar vision board. It's helping me stay on track. It is also allowing my wife and friends to keep me accountable, right? Because accountability can be very difficult for me as a ex-drug addict, still addict. We're the excuse monster. I can make an excuse for anything. I can justify any reason why I don't want to do something and make it feel so real I could pass a polygraph with it, even if I was just spitting crap, because that's what I did for so many years. That's how I got into this whole model of the truth, is I was trying to hold myself accountable, so I just let it all out. Let's just get into this rhythm. Okay, as you break down your plan, I guess the best way to put this is your goal should be something that feels just out of reach, but not so far out of reach that you quit before you start. So what do I mean by that? Let's just say I'm trying to grow 10,000 more subscribers this year, okay? 10,000 sounds like a lot, considering the fact we've been doing this for a few years. We've just hit 1,000. We're in a platform that is different. We've also been focusing on a lot of other things. So 10,000 right now feels like a lot. However, if I go all the way to December and I map it backwards, it's around 880 subscribers a month. Now that doesn't sound so bad. You've got to find a way to see the goal and then reverse engineer it. So I go ahead and I reverse engineer the platform, and then I dive a little bit deeper. Like, how am I going to get there? What steps do I need to take? What areas do I need to focus on? You map it out. I'm a visual person, so for me, this is what works the best. Hearing it all the time, maybe trying to remember it, that doesn't work for me. I need daily reminders, I need accountability partners, and I need a visual plan of how this is going to work, because I understand how the brain works, and I specifically understand a lot about how my brain works. And when I am focused on something and I can visualize it, it just feels so much on the more attainable side of things. I don't feel so overwhelmed. When I was first planning out the year, I was kind of lost in it, and so I open it up, and now we've got this gigantic, it's the entire year on one massive calendar. I can see everything. You can find them on TikTok. You can find them on Amazon. Chris, if you can find that link to the just big calendar, post it down below. I'm not going to make any money off this. This is not an ad push or anything. I just think that it is a beautiful way to really get a big picture, because the big picture is what's going to keep you motivated, okay? So as we dive a little deeper, this is the big one. This is step 3, okay? And this is what you've been waiting for, the third step, okay? Step number 3 is be selfish. Find your joy. So I'm here to just challenge the traditional method of language. As you've noticed, as I've been kind of diving through this, I've been saying certain things like, watch your emotions. How does it feel? Emotions create motion. You've all heard that, right? Motion creates emotion. Well, it's the same thing backwards. Emotion will create motion. It will create action. And if you're not driven by the proper emotions, then you're not going to get anywhere 90% of the time. You really need to find the emotion that you are genuinely looking for. Most people are like, I just want to be happy. Happiness is a dopaminergic response to like an instantaneous thing. You can't be happy all the time. If you were happy all the time, then what would happiness be? What I believe you're genuinely looking for is a state of joy, a state of bliss, a state of true calm. And there are many people that say, in order to find peace, you first must prepare for war. That doesn't mean you're going to go to war. This is what we do, and this is why I am challenging most of the language that we use. The selfishness, the pride stuff, the way that we approach language and the stories that we tell ourselves have a dramatic impact on the change that we create in our lives. If you are doing this in the right form and you are anything like me, which is I imagine why you're starting to watch this channel and you're starting to understand some of the things I'm saying, then I'm not worried about that turning into greed, because I'm not wired to be greedy. I could win the lotto tomorrow and I've got it all mapped out. What I'm going to give to the church, what I'm going to do for recovery, who I'm going to help, and how I'm going to do it. I wouldn't just go out there and start handing people money. I have relatives of which I know exactly how much money I would stick in the bank on what kind of Roth IRA we're going to build up for them, what money market we're going to put where, and how can they sustainably live off the interest in a life-changing form and still have something to pass down. I have mapped out all of it. That is why I wake up with so much peace, is because I have mapped out so many plans and directions of things that I know I'm going to do. That is not even an option. Look, guys, we're more than 2 years into this podcast. That is every single week, 90% of the time, recording or studying or researching or checking on things and keeping up with multiple platforms. Okay. I'm still going because I haven't failed yet. I know what I need to do to move forward. Am I technically behind the ball? Sure, but I'm learning as I go. So that's the whole entire point. So I have mapped out 2024. First thing you do is your what? Okay. Break down your columns. Don't worry so much about the losses unless you're going to realize there's some things that you can walk away from. Let's focus on your wins and how can we create greatness from the things that you have been good at. Find those emotions. Look for the patterns. Then take the time. I usually take a few weeks on step number 2, and I genuinely map it out. I can create some change in between as I go through it. This is not like a hard line, like I have to do this by this time or this by this time. This is the goal. It feels just out of reach. It's something that really drives me to get up out of bed and go, I need to get that done because I've got to stay on track. But it is not sacrificing my wellness with my wife, my alone time, our vacations, our plans. I have mapped out my year and then we do our reset week, and we go out and we map out our year together. And I am always willing to make changes to my current year and what I have mapped out to adapt to my wife and her needs and other things, as long as it doesn't cause any sort of turmoil in the relationship. I am not going to sacrifice my visions for my wife, and I do not expect her to do the same for me. I want her to reach all of her fullest potential. Most people only don't allow somebody else to go after their dreams because they're afraid they're going to get left behind. And if that is your fear, then maybe you need to work better on yourself and stop torturing your partner. I want my wife to chase all of her dreams, whatever that may be. She understands that I am going to chase all of my dreams, no matter what that may be. And I have faith in the fact that we belong together, and that no matter where we go and what we do, we will stay together, because that is the driving force. When you are on step 3, listen, if you meditate, I highly recommend you do this during this, because I really want you to embrace these emotions. I really want you to sit, close your eyes, and just imagine what it's going to feel like when you take your wins from good to great. Even if your win is what you feel is not associated, look for the patterns, okay? A prime example of that would be, I went to the gym real heavy when I first got into my recovery, okay? It became my new addiction, and it was great. And I went after a lot of things, and that was where I realized that I love the idea of being in like super good shape more than actually being in like bodybuilding level shape. It was rather painful. I was still on that part of the journey where I was expecting the outside world to affect my inside issues, and quickly discovered that that is not how it works. And so what I saw in the pattern of what I've been doing all the way back to when I was a child, I was 5 years old. My mom told me a story, and I could feel that somebody at church needed a hug. And so I said, Mom, I'll be right back. And I walked up to this man who was a stranger in the church, stranger to me. My mom knew who the guy was. And I just gave him a hug. I have always had a pattern of being an empath and understanding people and genuinely being able to sit there with the connection. And what a lot of people don't understand is that then when I turn into the asshole, and this year I'm going to work more on that, but when I turn into that, it is not from an ill-intentioned place. I am trying to give you what I see as the truth. That doesn't mean that I am right. I am not Nostradamus. I am definitely not God. I am not trying to control the world, but I'm going to give you the truth as I see it. And we can always debate and talk about it in a safe space. But when I give it to you, I'm also not giving it to you like some type of jerk. I'm just telling you how it really is. They'll say something and I'll be like, I don't think that's going to work. Let's walk through that. I'll tell you why I don't think it's going to work. I also want to tell you why I don't think it's going to work, based on the fact that the emotions that I'm feeling from you don't match what you're actually saying you're going to do. You're driven by the wrong emotion. And when your emotions are out of sync, things don't work, okay? This is genuinely how the body works. You have your feelings and you have your thoughts. Thoughts are the language of the brain, feelings are the language of the body. And when you can get into sync with them, then you will really start to create a change that doesn't just come suddenly. It comes over time, and when it comes over time, it creates change that lasts forever. These emotions, this third step, this is your driving force. Spend the most time. If it takes more than 2 weeks, spend more than 2 weeks. You have a whole entire lifetime to do this. Take as much time as you need to find the right emotions to attach to the right actions and plan to create everlasting change. If you want to stop smoking, go to a seminar where they hypnotize you, and I'm not even making fun of that. I genuinely believe in hypnosis. I am currently looking into a few different schools to dive deeper into that. I don't want to become a hypnotherapist. I just want to understand more about this phenomenon, and there is a whole methodology behind it. Anyways, go do that, because that's something that you should be able to change within a month. To me, that's not even a resolution. That's not even a goal. That's just something you know you need to do with your life. My goals are bigger. I have things that I am going to do this year, like create this channel in a space where I can share more information in a more valuable way on a bigger set that is more dedicated to this. I can then bring on guests where we can have some real good conversations and really dive into creating change for people. And my goal is to share this for free. But in order to do that, I still need to make money. So I use other platforms to make the money to drive this even higher. That's what I'm going to do. It's mapped out. I'm putting it out there right now in the internet. I'm going to do this. This is going to happen. I do not care how long it takes. I am not going to give up on humanity. I am definitely not going to give up on myself, and I don't want to give up on you. So if you are following this channel and you know someone who is like you or someone who just might need a little boost, share this video, please. This is my call to action to you, okay? There's a lot of psychology tricks that you can use in this stuff, and I just don't believe in tricking people, so I'm just giving you the real me. I know all the tricks. I know the Zeigarnik effect. I know all of the different ways where I can make you do things. We were playing a game on New Year's Eve, and I stepped out of the game because I felt like my ability to understand people's thoughts and some of the things that I was doing, I'll say unintentionally, but I was at the time trying to prove a point that I could win. So when you pass something along to someone, we were playing like Cards Against Humanity, and I would say, well, now watch how you answer that, because the other people are going to know a lot about you after you answer it. And I was saying that because my card was the one that was the one least to be judged in the answer, right? And I could see him shift his answer, and I was like, no, ignore me, stop. And I walked away because I don't want that to be what it's about. But I understand people. I understand how people think, and I like to use my abilities for good, sometimes just for pure entertainment, but it is never ill-intentioned, okay? I'm a people person. I understand thoughts. I understand psychology. I have been in this for many, many years, and I am continuing to do this every single day. So my hope is for you is that you will do the same. And if you know someone who is looking for something, listen, I do life coaching on many different levels, from transformational to relationship to business and otherwise. Not everybody is what I would like to call my talent. I consider everybody out there to have a talent, and I would love to help you discover your talent, but I'm not for everybody, and I don't want to be for everybody. I don't have enough time, and I'm not trying to do these massive grouping sessions. I will do seminars, and I will do other things later on when it's going to be more broken down with a lot of different things that you'll get value out of, but that's on the goal for next year. Next year, my plan is to be out speaking and really creating change. I am going to put this on the internet right now. I am going to change more than 1 million lives. The greatest part about it is that I won't even know that it happened. I just know it's going to happen. And I'm probably aiming too low. So I'll go ahead and say 10 million because I can do that. Because of the power of the internet, I can change 10 million plus lives, and I am going to do that. And I'm doing it here right now. And if this video has touched you in any way, please comment down below. And if you want to be a hater, please comment down below. It's okay. I already know that whatever it is that I'm saying that's causing whatever hatred is going to come out of your little fingertips is simply because your inward reflection has led to this outward perception, and it is hitting a chord. Maybe, just maybe, you should think about that for a minute. But go ahead and leave the comment. We can get into it. I'm good with it. I'm okay. You can tell me how much you don't like things, and we can genuinely debate about anything. I am not the type that believes that my way is the only way. This isn't really even my way. This is me watching thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of videos, and I've probably got 15 different psychology books right here on the desk that I continue to read through and continue to go over, and I continue to do audiobooks and you name it. This is why my life is this way, because I am hungry for me. But I'm hungry for me because I want to share it with you. I want to help you dive deep into genuine change. And if you don't believe that change is possible, I was creating a art piece for my mom for Christmas, okay? It was a brain. It had all these lights that were coming out of it. So I built this clay brain with all these cool lights that came out of it and made this really cool art piece that lit up like a brain genuinely activating again. And right in front of it were these signs. And on the very, very front of the box, it said, "To the battles that I have won." And my plan when I started it was to write down some of the thoughts that I have discussed with my mom back when I was real deep in my addiction, when I was genuinely battling life, when I was at war 24/7 for more than 10 years. And I'm going to tell you, the craziest thing happened. I couldn't find the thoughts. Like, I genuinely was struggling to remember some of those old thoughts that I've had multiple conversations about with multiple people, but most importantly with my mom. Like, I couldn't think of them. It took me a good 2.5 hours of me genuinely diving back, and while most people might think that was scary, it wasn't. Like, I was curious because I'm in such a healthy place now that I don't worry about that. But that was how much my life has changed, and how much this repetitive notion of creating change and believing better for myself has rewired my brain to a point where I genuinely struggled to find negative thoughts that I used to have, and I want the same for you. So when I say change is possible, I mean I am a completely different man than I was 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when I moved out of my home out in California and left it all behind with nothing to my name really. I had a bag of clothes and $600. Today I am happily married. I am successful on multiple levels, of which I am not talking financial. I have genuine connections with friends. I am genuinely connected to people. I am genuinely creating change in this world, and I want the same for you. So if you like what you heard today, please smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and just start sharing it with people. We are going to change this world together, but I'll be honest, I need your help. So leave some comments down below. If you want to dive into possible coaching, we can do an intro call to see if we're even going to click. You can reach out to me to brian@gglifecoaching.com. You can reach me fans@talkhardfans.com. You can reach me on multiple different levels. You can just leave a comment down below, and we can start going into the comments. I'm not concerned. I am here to share. I'm here to create change. Now, my life coaching packages are not free, but I can tell you from experience that I don't take on people that I don't feel that we can connect on a level where you will leave the coaching session with genuine change happening. So thank y'all very much. I love you. Happy 2024. Let's crush it. Let's break the molds and make things happen. See you next week.